the key question in terms of do we get higher on this is what's the timeline for the return of the Saudi barrels? We had heard that potentially 1/3 of production was going to be coming back either today or tomorrow. There's really question marks about that. There's a question about the extent of the damage. Was it more serious than initially reported? Are we looking at an extended outage of, 3 million plus barrels from Saudi Arabia? And the question is really who fills that gap? I mean, yes, the U.S. is a big producer, but they're not a swing producer. So the question is, how much is Saudi willing to draw down their inventories, and which other countries that can surge production, how much can they surge to meet supplies into Asia? I mean, Asia is now being supplied still by Saudi by drawing down inventories. The question is, how long can they do that?
I think the other question, Helima, is how will King Salman respond?
Well, I mean, I think the question is, will King Salman respond? Really, will Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman respond? He is the very hawkish Saudi Crown Prince. He has taken the fight to the Iranians in Yemen in that multi-year conflict. The question is, if you're Saudi Arabia, you've had an escalating series of attacks on your energy infrastructure, starting with the East-West pipeline being hit in May. The Shaiba field was attacked last month. Are you going to be willing to just sit back and continue to let these attacks happen? And if you're President Trump, if your officials are saying the attacks came from Iran and not from Yemen, what is the U.S. going to do about this?
Ayham, what is your take on the president's administration, the broader members of the administration's response, specifically how much they pointed the finger at Iran and why the president hasn't done so himself?
I think there's a clear rift here. I think many members of the administration see Iran as essentially behind this, and the president knows how to carefully redraw lines. I don't think he wants to get implicated in a war scenario or any military operation that leads to serious casualties. If we do get an escalation with Iran, it isn't simply about the current outage in Saudi Arabia. It's a potential for additional strikes on oil assets. So you're talking oil north of 90, and I'm not sure that's what he's looking for in an election year or in 2020 ahead of elections. So he's very careful, and I think he's redrawing lines.
Does it tell us anything about the vulnerability, the fact that with drone strikes, I mean, you can wipe out or at least temporarily suspend so much of Saudi Arabia's production? And what's the warning for other oil facilities around the world?
Absolutely. I think this has the attack that we've seen here, if it's Iran, Iranian proxies, it really is a secondary issue. There is asymmetrical warfare here that's going to be copied by everyone. Drones are effective, they're not that expensive, and billions of dollars of sophisticated weaponry is just not able to tackle this issue. So I think it's a structural issue, not only for Saudi Arabia, but for many nations. Critical infrastructure is at risk from drones, and we just simply don't have an effective answer yet. Definitely the Saudis are still susceptible to attacks. I don't think that we'll likely see a big attack like this one. I think the Iranians are likely to be much, much more careful this time around. They probably miscalculated, and this will draw the Europeans closer to the U.S. in terms of sanctioning Iran.
I mean, here's the issue, though. I mean, Abqaiq was considered a very secure facility. In 2006, 2 al-Qaeda trucks tried to get into the facility and detonate. The Saudis spent billions of dollars on energy security after that foiled al-Qaeda attack. This showed incredible sophistication. I mean, it was drones and apparently missiles as well. Hence why people are questioning whether the Houthis did this alone. And so I do wonder if this is basically all we are going to see. The Houthis are out today saying there will be more attacks. We have seen pipelines hit in May, tankers struck. We've seen oil fields attacked. I question why this is going to be the end if there's no forceful response to the Iranians.
Keith, would more attacks spook broader U.S. equity markets?
Yeah, I think so. If we continue to see these attacks and they escalated up more. But I agree with Helima a little bit. I mean, just look at the messaging that you're starting to get out of MBS saying it's because of Yemen aggression. And also because we're seeing a remarkably reserved President Trump on Twitter about this. He clearly doesn't want to engage in some sort of military conflict with Iran. And I think that tells us that there's a lot of back channeling going on right now, and they'll try to keep it at a minimum so that we don't see this again.